Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. And with all this talk of regulation rife in the industry right now, it seems only right that we should have on someone representing one of the newest foundations to represent what has traditionally been possibly the most underrepresented sector within the hair and beauty world, despite, I guess, probably being one of the most popular in terms of number of people that actually do it. And that is, of course, the nail industry. And I'm delighted to say that I've got joining me today, I've got with me Sue Davis, who not only is a member of our community and someone I'm proud to say is my friend, but also one of the leading figures. I'm someone who's been driving forward the whole concept of the Federation of Nail Professionals, which I'm excited to say is now live. So welcome, Sue, first of all. Hi, Sue, how are you doing today? Are you good?
Yeah, all good.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's
excellent.
been a mad few days, let's say that. It's yeah, we're all a bit tired. It's been, yeah, clicking like buttons like there's no tomorrow.
I think it's probably a bit of a bonkers time already, and now you've taken on this as well. So I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way, really.
No, I know, and I'm at the salon. I was supposed to be coming up to fill my shelves back with all my gels and all my skincare, and still haven't got around to it because I keep coming up to do stuff like this instead. So by tomorrow, it's all going to be ready to go because I'm back in the salon tomorrow.
Right. As if you didn't already have enough on. So why not?
Then those darn clients.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm so excited to be able to pick your brains about this, because as you've probably seen and heard on quite a few of our videos and calls recently, we're sort of really calling for a lot more of the regulation of an industry as a whole, because there are just so many positive reasons to do that, and what I can see as being pretty much no negative for that. But as I've mentioned at the introduction there, the nail slither of our industry has traditionally been quite poorly represented, hasn't it? So tell us a little bit about, exactly what is the Federation of Nail Professionals, so the FNP.
FNP.
Where did it come about? Where did it come from?
Okay, so back in lockdown, Marion Newman, BEM as she is now, got a load of us together in a massive Zoom, and off the back of that came a little group of us that started talking about education in the nail industry, and rolled it forward a little bit to June, and a small group of us, we all got a phone call from Marion. And when Marion kind of gives you a phone call, you don't really go, oh, shall I? You kind of just go, okay. It's like, the thing is, it's like Marion is like the mum of our industry. And so when Marion calls, you are kind of like duty bound to follow. And so I said, yeah, that's fine. And I've ended up in a position after months and months. I think me and Donna have just been trying to work out man hours, and I think we've done something like about 100 hours of meetings, and it's mad. And there's been a lot of us involved. And so we got to a place, we've gone through so many different projects we want to do. Marion, in her wonderful world of schmoozing that she does, we've managed to link with Habia and Babtac. We've got collaborations that are really exciting with them coming up that we can't really talk about at the moment because they're not finalised, but we will be linking massively with Babtac and with Habia and the British Beauty Council to just elevate the nail industry, because we have been kind of left behind a little bit. And although we've had associations over the years, they've never really hit the target that we will now be able to hit. We have a seat at the table.
Excellent, which is so important. So as you said, there's the whole concept of, you mentioned it yourself, the table. So we've got all of the bodies, the support bodies for each individual slither of the market. And now this idea of everyone trying to actually get together, let's have our voices heard as one instead of maybe against each other, so that we can get some better regulation and a consistency across the industry, right? And a voice in government, right? Because that's me, that's one of the most important bits.
And amongst the other trade bodies over lockdown, they have managed to do amazing things for the wider industry. And it was noted on many occasions that the nail industry kind of wasn't really there. So there was a suggestion made to Marion that maybe she would like to rectify that, and that's where the federations come from. So yeah, so now we do have a seat at that table, and it means that the Now industry, along with the other voices, will be able to shout from the rooftops that our industry is valued and is worthy.
So after what has been a turbulent time for the industry as a whole in 2020, something really positive for nail professionals could still yet come out, out the other end.
And this is one of the reasons we wanted to launch, and I mean, it is only a soft launch at the moment. We aren't in our full final position yet, but we wanted to get a soft launch to start gathering supporters so that the voice of the nail industry can be recognised as we start moving through. We wanted to make sure that we did that before we came back out of lockdown, because it has been, I think lockdown 2 has been tough. I have to say, my lockdown 2 has just kind of disappeared in a haze.
Mine as well.
Busy, but I know a lot of people have been struggling through lockdown 2, and we wanted to kind of end that on a high note for everybody as much as we could and bring some positivity, which I know you're a great advocate of.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's definitely to be commended. So what are you doing personally then? So what's your role within all of this?
So yeah, I have the great honour of being deputy chair of the federation, which is and it is, and to me that's just such honour above honours. It's amazing.
It's a very regal title, that, isn't it?
Regal title. I know. Hopefully, I've got to stop saying hopefully. I will be up to the job, and I'm also looking after information, which just. A lot of my role is going to be irritating everyone with just putting information out on a regular basis and making sure that everything we do put out is factual, accurate and timely, and that, we don't ever misinform.
And on that point, actually, which you say that, I think this year has been such a good example of how social media particularly can really kind of affect and alter and change that. You see people relying and quoting like random people's posts verbatim as if they're like law. And there's just been so much confusion from can we open, can't we open, what can we do, what can't we do, can I travel, what date can I open? And actually throughout a lot of this, obviously Marion's group, which I'm also in, has been one of the better places to be, unquestionably. So I'm sure that a lot of that will cascade down into what the Federation's going to be doing. So I can't think of anyone better to be at the top of that tree.
No, and it isn't. And the thing is, and now because we have a seat at that table, that means that when, like yesterday, we put out our first big announcement from like where we've had it from government sources. And it does mean that we're literally next to the horse's mouth. So whenever we do put anything out, that does come direct from government sources now.
Which is amazing. And not only amazing, but just so important. Because if people can at least then go and then they can then carry out their own duties and deal with their clients with confidence, knowing that, well, actually, I've got this evidence that I can rely on, which, as you say, there's been so many grey areas. It's been crazy this year, really.
It has been, and I think as well, it's not, obviously there's issues where the government have changed their mind and all that kind of stuff when they've got to react to different things that are going on, and it just makes it very, very confusing. If you pick up the wrong social media link, then you could have information that's a week out of date. So we all have to do our due diligence to make sure that we have the right information.
So what are the actual aims of the FNP then? So apart from, outside of the, as you say, having a voice, a seat at the table, as it were, what are the sort of the overarching aims of the Federation?
So what we have formed, the beginning of it was all around education, and that is going to be one of our key factors. We all know that there's an awful lot of education out there that is lacking and is perhaps not fit for purpose. Just the odd course here and there. But the problem is that you can't just take those away overnight. That's not going to happen. Those people are making a living, and and they're making a very nice living for themselves, providing courses that perhaps maybe a little bit questionable in places. But so what we're looking to do is to help educators themselves rather than their courses. And so we have a scheme that we're going to be launching called License to Teach, and that will be recognising the qualities of the educator and making sure that the educators are at a good standard and are progressing themselves and developing themselves on a regular basis to make sure that they're always advancing. And there'll be opportunities on the website to join. It'll be one of our membership levels, and any educator can come and join that. No matter what background you come from, you will be able to join at an entry level and work your way through up to an elite educator over time, so that you can continue to develop yourself. and then there'll be reviews and that kind of thing on the website as well. It's a work in progress, so we're just getting there at the moment, just finalising all the details, but it is going to be an amazing scheme, and will turn, initially it will only be looking at the Now industry, but we're hoping in time that it may spread, because it will just give the educators a badge of honour rather than their courses, which is where it kind of sits on what the course content is at the moment rather than who's teaching you.
Well, and also the way I often think it comes across is that if you are looking to get into the industry, you don't know one educator from the, so it's difficult to gauge the end user who's what, and it might come down to who's got the prettiest website or the best marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Or who can teach you, or who can teach you how to do something for £8. You know, that's
I know. Well,
it's part of the industry.
Yeah, well, the quicker that gets eradicated, I think everyone would agree.
So if we can elevate, if we elevate the educators and encourage the educators to improve themselves and be on a pathway of higher standards, then hopefully that's going to follow that the courses will then improve, and we'll be supporting with lots of different resources and stuff for the education side of our membership.
So therefore, the Federation is both for educators and
for now professionals. Any now professional, whether you're studying or an apprentice, whether you've newly qualified or you've been a veteran in the industry for like 20 years, membership is there for absolutely every single person in the industry.
Awesome. So
there's lots of different levels. The base information and sort of like just a taster of what is available is on our membership pages at the moment, so you can go and have a look, and that will be launching very, very soon.
Awesome. So we've put a link to that, and in fact I will share the link in the comments as well, so that people can go and check that out. And at the moment, my understanding is that you are is that people can go and register at the moment. They can sign up as a supporter, is that right?
Yes, that's it.
It doesn't cost anything at the moment, no?
It costs absolutely nothing to support us, and supporting will give you access to our news feeds and that kind of stuff. You're not going to get all the stuff you're going to get with membership, but it just means that you are actively supporting the Now industry. So supporters membership is open to the general public. It's open to anybody in the wider beauty and hair industry. Anyone that has an interest in Nows, we are welcoming with open arms, because those numbers will help us increase the voice and the volume that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. The more people,
so the more supporters, the better.
The better, absolutely. And I noticed when I was checking out the literature earlier on the on that sign-up form where you can become a supporter, which I shall do after we finish today, I noticed that there's a big strap line underneath the logo. It says "License to Teach" all over it. So tell me a little bit more about that, Sue.
So the License to Teach, as I say, is about educators and is about improving the quality of education within the Now industry, and we'll be launching alongside our membership. It will be like nothing. It literally turns the education side of the industry on its head, and will enable educators of every single level, whether you've just done your AET or whether you've got your PGC teaching qualification. The idea is to give a varying structure of educators, so that the higher up in education you are, then you kind of lean down and help the next one up the ladder. And we want to kind of encourage that behaviour, so that you've got mentoring opportunities as an elite educator. You can lean down and help the others on the way up.
I love that. That is such a good idea. And I think also as well that anything that can be done so that people collaborate with each other and help one another, it has got to be encouraged, because I don't know why, but there's something about our industry whereby so many people seem to not want to support each other, and I just don't get it. And I don't seem to see it in other industries as well. And it's like,
it's a real backstabber industry.
We're all stronger. We're all stronger together, and it's one of the least beautiful things about the beauty industry, in my opinion.
Definitely, it is. I think we're a bit like the kind of, we've got like a paparazzi kind of mentality, and it's like, build people up and then rip them down as soon as they're doing well. And I think it's really, really unfortunate, and we would like to, see the back of that. And we, like I said earlier, we're going to be collaborating with some of the oldest and biggest trade associations in the industry, and that's really important to us. That collaboration and sharing of information and knowledge and experience is something that we really, really value, and it is in that whole thing of stronger together. And I think lockdown has proven to all of us how much we kind of really do need each other.
Yeah.
It's you know, for all of us, I think, you know, there's been days when all of us have been sort of banging our head on the wall in tears, or, you know, just unable to function. And if it hasn't been for groups like Magis or groups like Salonology and like your lockdown group and stuff, you know, all of that coming together is what's got us through. And if we don't use that momentum now, then I think we're missing a trick massively.
Completely agree. So we've got there for this. We've got the salon owners represented. We've got the educators. We've got the actual like nail techs themselves. What about the brands? Is there a space for them to get involved, or do you think they're?
No, we're currently talking with many brands at the moment, and yeah, we are very, very open to working with compliant brands, and yeah, and pushing forward the better side of our industry. Yeah.
Yes, they've got
brands. Yeah, we want brands to obviously they, you know, just through their education processes, you know, the access that we have to students through their education systems, and also like further education colleges and private academies. You know, anyone that offers education, be they a brand, an academy, an individual educator just working out of her salon. You know, the education covers so many different areas, and we need to tap into all of those.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I think I'm excited just talking to you about it, Sue. I don't know how you've slept recently.
Yeah, we can't keep up with it. And it's just every meeting, there's just more and more stuff that comes. Oh my God, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. And it's trying to keep a rein on it. And yeah, not getting into too much detail on some of these like future ideas is really hard.
But this is also what happens when people with ideas all actually come together and collaborate in the first place.
Yeah, it is. And our, you know, the founding board members, we've, you know, some of us didn't know each other before, some of us did, and it's just been a fascinating experience. And I think for all of us, sort of, it's something that, I mean, I've been involved in trade associations before, and as has Marion. So we've got a bit of maybe a little bit more of an understanding than the rest of our founding board members, but they're catching up quick. You know, and that sudden, you know, switch back to an admin role, having been a practical role for so many years, is yeah. I think my husband's just like, oh, what are you on there on Zoom again? It's, you know, and it is another board meeting, another this, and it's really, really weird, sort of like flipping back into a world that I used to be in years and years ago. But yeah.
I can tell you love it really, Stu. I can tell that wry smile on your face. So
yeah.
when
I was just sitting thinking about the typing. Fastest finger first.
Yeah, exactly. When I was also checking out the website, I also noticed that about the census that you guys are also.
Yes.
Is that your?
That's my little baby.
That you guys are pushing out?
Yeah. So we thought it'd be nice to kind of get a bit of a snapshot of the industry. So this has come out, my role of information. This has kind of come under my auspices. And so I've spent about the last month putting this together, and it is a big survey. And we want everybody that is able to fill it out There's two different surveys. One is aimed very specifically at employees, students and apprentices. And then the other one is aimed very specifically at self-employed professionals and business owners. You don't have to be, on the business owner, you don't have to be a now professional or a qualified now professional to be taking it. But so there's lots of different questions on there, and it covers everything from who you are, where you work, through to going through lockdown and COVID. So there's absolutely everything on there. For the business owners, there's lots of financials and stuff like that. And for the employees, there's lots about how they're employed and what benefits they get, all that kind of things. They kind of go off, they start the same and then go off on two very different tangents. So they take about 10, 15 minutes. It depends on how quick you're on it and how much you like reading or not reading, whatever. And so, about 15, 20 minutes allow for it. Grab a cup of tea, sit down. It is the most important bit of research that the nail industry has ever had done. And I know a lot of the brands are going to be very, very interested to read what who they're selling product to and that kind of thing, and the educators who they're going to be educating. It's going to be quite a fascinating piece of data. And I just keep getting on the live analytics at the moment going, oh my God, I never knew that about my industry. I'm a bit of an information like me, and I'm getting a little bit overexcited about the data. It's a bit sad.
Is there anything you've seen already then, Sue, which is kind of surprising you? Because you must have thought, this is my assumption of what people will say.
Yeah,
but it's just I've already got quite.
I would say it's the girls' sport, and it is. And I think because we know that secondary education providers for years and years and years have been advising us that, or advising year 10s and 11s that, oh, you know, you're not that academic, oh, maybe go into nails or beauty or hair because you're not really very academic. And it's funny actually, because I know you would, you and Holly were talking with Millie earlier on your podcast about this, and I'm sure it was on there, wasn't it? I've heard so many things in the last few days. But there is this massive, massive thing that we get a lot of the less academic people pushing into the industry through the schools. And actually, that doesn't translate, because at the moment, well, it's very early stages, but it's looking like we've actually got quite a lot of very, very bright people in our industry, which we kind of know. But it's yeah. But that little bit of it, like the education bit, and where people are coming from educationally, I've been quite pleased. But as I say, can't really do anything right at the moment because it is like such early stages, and we're hoping we want to get about 5,000 minimum, maybe up to 10,000 people doing this. We know that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of Nowtechs and professionals.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was having a conversation with someone recently. It might have been when I spoke to Marianne about it, and I was trying to get an idea of a number on how many Nowtechs we think there are in the UK. I mean, how many do you?
I don't know. This is it. I mean, and even doing something like the survey, we're never going to find that out. I think there's information somewhere on one of the, it's come out of one of the national censuses, I think, and I'm sure there's supposed to be something like about 60,000, something like that. But and there's a lot, but obviously they don't all come on Facebook, and they don't all interact in the groups that we interact in. So it's really hard to try and track that figure. So we have been trying to work out ways of like Freedom of Information Act requests that we can maybe try and get that information, but because it would be nice.
Donna's live. Hi, Donna. So Donna, you've already mentioned, she's involved too. So she's heading up the educator arm. Is that right?
Donna and I are like partners in crime at the moment of like marketing and doing Facebook stuff and Instagram stuff. Yeah. So whenever you get a response from the FNP, it's going to be me or Donna probably at the moment, or maybe Marion if you're lucky.
Right, got you.
Marion's on there too.
So in terms of, so how can people get behind this then? So we need people to sign up as supporters, yeah?
Okay, so you need to go and sign up at www.the-fnp.com and yeah, sign up, be a supporter, and like our Facebook page, like our Instagram, and we will be sending out lots of information. One thing I do want to point out as well, because this has been a query that's come up a couple of times already, is that we are a UK-wide federation. And that means we will be looking at England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. And I put up yesterday a little thing that just says, well, and we decided, after I posted out my first one, I thought, oh, it would be so nice if I put a little flag on, just so everyone knows that that's the Welsh one, but I couldn't go back and change it. So unfortunately, the first one didn't have that on. But going forward, because with especially how COVID's working at the moment, obviously there's different regulations in every nation of the UK. And so we will be having a little flag from whatever nation it relates to, just so you can immediately go, oh, that's a Welsh one, or that's a Scottish one, that applies to me, or it doesn't apply to me, just to try and make sure that we are as inclusive as possible, because we know that the people, like we know that our professionals in the four nations that aren't England really, really do feel that they're excluded, and we don't want that to be the case anymore.
No, absolutely not. In fact, this is about the opposite of exclusion. This is about inclusion, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bringing everyone together.
Yeah.
So, and what about, you mentioned this is, you've used the word supporter a couple of times, Sue. So yes. It's free to sign up at the moment.
It is free
okay.
At the moment.
And then at the moment, so
well, supporters will always be free, because we're always going to want, because it isn't, you don't have to be a now professional to be a supporter. It can be anybody that can be a supporter.
And when does
that? Get your mum, your nan, anybody. Anyone.
We don't care. Your membership itself open then, assuming that's something different?
Yeah, membership is completely different and will be tiered depending on the level that you enter at.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you can see at the moment, if you go to the membership page on the FNP website, you can see all the different levels of membership. You can also see the costings. We are also having annual payments where you can just obviously pay in one lump sum. And we're also having quarterly payments, because we recognise, obviously, especially through COVID, people's finances can be a little bit limited, so that we're given the option to make 4 equal payments throughout the year as well, which will have a slight premium on the price, but it means that you can break your payments down over the year.
Love that. Okay, excellent. And yeah, no, I think that that's covered everything. So what I think would be a worthwhile thing for us to do then is to encourage everyone to at least go and become a supporter, right? Because
it doesn't matter if you're hair, beauty, nails, go and support us, because it will increase the voice at the table. Doesn't matter what part of the industry you come from.
No, I can't help but think that can only be a positive thing for everyone that's concerned, because as we know, and as we mentioned earlier, we're certainly very much behind trying to get everyone to unite in the most sensible way that we all can, and really push forward to improve the industry further, give it more of a voice, make sure that, dare I say, everyone takes us a bit more seriously, because
absolutely. I think, you know, there's such a misconception that we're all, you know, I'm very sorry to blonde people, but there is that whole thing of like that sort of like dumb blonde thing that is just so outdated and so awful. And I do think that everyone kind of thinks of us as being people that don't really have very much intellect or academic ability, and in actual fact, we are so much more than that. And it doesn't matter, you know. And also, I just want, if I can just say, like, we when you opened, we were talking about regulation, and that is something that we will be working alongside other people with and looking towards. But do just, as Marion was just on with Millie earlier, and it is one of those things with regulation and licensing, you do have to be very, very careful what you wish for, and do remember that if licensing and regulation comes in, you may need to retrain. So we've got to play this really, really carefully. And at the moment, we're working towards self-regulation. And once we are self-regulating properly, and we can evidence that to government, that is when we will get regulation. But the government are not going to regulate us until we are self-regulating ourselves.
Got you. That's a really important point. So thank you for clarifying that. So in which case, everyone who is watching this right now, if you are a nail tech, if you're an educator, if you're a salon owner, if you're a hair salon owner, whatever it might be, go and sign up, become a supporter. The link is both in the comments of this video and it's in the description of the video as well. Plus, I would ask you, as Sue said, it's so important to get this message in front of as many people as possible. Please go and share this video into whatever groups on Facebook you're part of.
Yeah, go for it.
And everyone's in different groups. And often, as we all know, people have to hear the message multiple times before they do anything. They'd be like, oh yeah, I saw that last week. I didn't get around to it because everyone's so busy, right? So it's really, really important that people
today, before we go back to work, is Daniel Priestley, who I know you know, has got a whole thing about 11 points of contact. So go out there, push this to 11 places so that you get everyone needs to have 11 points of contact before they press the button. Go press the buttons.
There we go.
Make sure we get supporters.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look, so I know this won't be the last time that I hear you talking about this, and I'm very, very excited to hear how it all goes. As I say, definitely have our backing for everything that you are doing, and we wish you every success with this. And if there's anything else that we can do to help you, then you know how to get hold of me.
And we need to, sorry, I just remembered as well. Yeah. Sorry, all these things, I didn't have to remember when you're doing these things. There's so much to remember. Hashtag, when you signed up, please share the fact that you signed up. Hashtag, I've joined the feds.
I see what you've done there. Very good.
Well, hashtag the feds are coming. But a few people got to be scared. but the feds are here. Hashtag the feds are here. Hashtag I've joined the feds. So go do it. You know.
Absolutely. Well, I hope we see a lot of those hashtags all over the page.
Let's see. I know it's quite good. We've been following the increase on it, and it's getting quite good. Yeah, we need to make it exponential.
Yeah, absolutely. Sue, we're going to leave it there. So I just want to again say thank you ever so much for coming on.
And thank you for having me.
Please share it so that, as I say, we can everyone can get behind it. It is really important, and I definitely see it as kind of like another step in a whole series of multiple steps that we all need to take together to get, you know, to kind of the promised land of a better industry for everyone. So thank you again, Sue. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good luck with your video opening tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. See you later.
And I think that has ended that stream. Thanks, Sue. That was fab.
Was that all right?
Yeah, of course it was.
Do you know what? It's so much easier doing it with you. We had a massive meeting the other day, like we're trying to get sponsors involved, and that was just like, oh my God. Yeah, that was, yeah. But no, it's much nicer being with someone that you know.
Yeah, well, exactly. It is much, much easier, isn't it? So it looks like quite a few people have shared that already. A couple of people have commented saying, I've already signed up. So that's good.
Excellent.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to go and sign up right now as well.
Do you know what? I think it's terrible. I don't think I've even signed up at the moment. I think I'm doing enough.
I would hope that you'd get free membership, so one would assume.
Yeah, no, we will. Yeah, I think we will. Do you know what? I don't know. Really and truly, we probably shouldn't, because that isn't really very fair, is it? It's not really setting an example. It's so hard, and we have got to be. You know, so I'm having this whole drama because like my salon is like tier 3, and I walk out and go 50 meters down the road, and I'm tier 2, and half my client base comes from tier 2, and it's like, oh, right, it's so hard.
Yeah,
so hard.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm leaving it to my clients to make that decision. I'm not making a choice.
No. Well, let's hope.
You can't. And they think, it's just we are going to end up with no businesses left. But
it'd be interesting to see what happens today and see, because they're voting today.
Yeah. Have you seen Labour are going to abstain?
I did see that. Yeah, which I was a bit surprised about.
Yeah, I can't. I do wonder if we're even going to get to tears. Yeah. Because if they abstain and enough Conservatives withhold or abstain or go against, that's it, he's lost it. And then where are we going to be?
Who knows? Who knows? It's the roller coaster of 2020. Hang on tight, everyone. Awesome. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's almost becoming farcical, really, because it just changes every 2 minutes, doesn't it? And it's like people expected to, keep a track of it. It's all getting a bit silly, I think. But hopefully at some point they would just say, I think at some point they've got to just say, you've got to police yourselves, because sooner or later people are just going to lose faith and they're just going to do what they want anyway. Yeah. I think some people already are. So
absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing all over the place, and people I'm quite surprised at as well, that are just going, do you know what, I'm done. And they're people that that I value as professional friends, and you're like, no, you can't do that. It's like, how can you give up? We're so close.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, yeah, this is it. And then I know when I was driving here, there was another load of stuff on LBC saying that perhaps Pfizer's not quite as ready as they thought it was. It's like, oh, come on. Yeah. We've got to get out of this at some point. I just want lateral flow testing. I'm really hoping that as the salon's in tier 3 that I might be able to get the lateral flow testing, because I think that would be quite.
What's that?
I just want to take part in something. It's the one it's one that they were using in Liverpool, where you get your results in half an hour, so you can have it done daily to make sure you haven't got COVID.
Right.
So that's where they picked up. I think they picked up 20% asymptomatic.
Right.
In Liverpool.
And that was what made the bit that they introduced, so that they got away with not being tier 3, even though everyone around was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, got you.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
I don't know, Ryan.
And it changes every day. I mean, they were saying today I saw on the front of the headlines that they had that they were thinking of bringing in testing for certain like concert venues and sports arenas and ultimately travel. So if you can't prove that you've got the vaccine, then you can't travel. So, oh my God, that is such an infringement of your human rights. That's ridiculous.
Isn't it? And it's just, and the discrimination that comes with that, because that's where, I mean, this is where it starts heading into dystopian stuff, isn't it? Of like that whole discrimination of like, no, you're clean and you're not clean.
I'm not sure about forced vaccinations on a population.
I know. It's scary stuff, isn't it? I tell you what, one thing that's driving me mad now is, and I do wish our industry would stop, because I'm starting to find it quite obscene, is all these people going, we've had it so hard, we're completely ignored. And one of the things on the census, when you list what the government have actually provided, and there's so few that are actually falling through. And the list of assistance the government have provided is quite massive. And like you look at what happened in Wales yesterday, what Mark Drayford said, and he's closed hospitality till March or something.
I know. And this is, and again,
And it's like, and people are moaning because they're shut for a month. It's like, no, come on, please wake up. You can sell retail online. You can do something.
Yeah.
But I mean, pubs, they're going to be closed for another 4 or 5 months.
And the industry was already on its arse, and it has been for years. And
I think when you look at them, you're like, how can you even begin? I mean, I know it's everyone's personal circumstances, but you can't put a swathing statement across the whole of our industry saying that we've been hard done by, because in the scheme of things.
No. And the one that annoys me the most is when people do the one where they say, oh, pub's all right. It's an old boys club, and we're picking on all of the female industries and none of the male ones. And you're like, oh, come on. That's just such a weak argument.
And it is, but I think because I think that was elevated because they opened barbers, wasn't it? I mean, that just, I mean, what was that about?
It was ridiculous. That bit was ridiculous.
That was just stupid. But, and it is, and I suppose the thing is when people are stressed, you know, you give them anything they're going to sort of like run and scream from the rooftops, aren't they, about how unfair it all is. But you just got to.
But the barber thing actually, again, was a good indication as to why we need representation, because it was obvious those decisions were made by someone who knew nothing about the industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it kind of like, maybe that actually was a bit of a catalyst for everyone to go, actually, hang on a minute, this is just bonkers now, you know, which it clearly was. But as you say, for those, and imagine being a nightclub owner in 2020. I mean, that would
we really haven't got it that bad in comparison to so many other industries. You know, it's pretty dire, but it, you know, and it's not. But you know, you look at retail, you know, like the Arcadia Group yesterday and Debenhams today.
Yeah,
I mean, that's harsh, you know. And I know that you know, we've got lots of small businesses that have closed, and I know there's a couple in Gold Club that have gone already. But you know, when you're looking at something the size of Debenhams or Arcadia, I mean, that is immense. That's 25, just those two, 25,000 jobs gone, potentially.
Absolutely crazy. So at least we are small enough and nimble enough to be able to...
Yeah, this is it. I think because we are all tiny, you know, we are all pretty much micro businesses, aren't we? So we can usually, you know, just go in different directions and change things up and work less hours. And there's so many ways that we can adjust.
Yeah. Absolutely, we've had to. Right, Sue, I can't stand here and put the world to rights.
No, I know. I've got to fill my gel shelves.
And you've probably got another 18 Zooms this afternoon to do.
No, I've got to fill my shelves. I've got shelves there waiting to be filled up.
Excellent. That's your afternoon then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, lovely
Thank
to
you
see
so much, Ryan.
Oh no, don't be silly. And again, I haven't shared that into any of your groups. So if you want to do that, then you go for it. I've only shared it into our one. So go for it. I'm going to sign right now.
It'll be shareable from Salonology, yeah?
It's a public one, so it should be shareable everywhere.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And good luck for tomorrow as well.
Thank you so much.
And I look forward to hearing.
What's tomorrow? Oh yeah, working. That's what I've got to do, work. I'm just thinking, what's happening tomorrow?
I'm sure I had something on. Yeah.
My diary.
You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm not starting till about 1 o'clock. So yeah, it'll be fine. Anyway, thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon.
I'll see you soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.